Good evening, everybody. If you haven't finished eating your dessert or your meal, please, by all means, continue to do so. I do want to welcome everyone who's come out tonight for this, our 6th Annual Advisory Committee Recognition Dinner. Before I get going too far, I want to recognize a few people that are here with us tonight. First off, at the table over here, we have Council Member Jerry Bittner. We have Council Member Randy Thomas, Council Member Bob Warden, and the pretty part of our team, Angela Washington, Council Member Angela Washington. I should say beautiful Angela. You're welcome. I want to thank you all for your service that you give to the city. It's just invaluable what you bring together, that we all bring together as a team to take on challenge after challenge, but we all seem to, work through these things and come up with good solutions. And with the budget this year, of course, we got another challenge, and I'm sure we will work through it. This is National Volunteer Appreciation Week, and the City Council and I, along with the city staff, appreciate each and every one of you and your service as a member of our volunteer committees. The gift of your time is priceless, and the expert knowledge that you share with us is invaluable to helping make Jacksonville the wonderful community that we all love. And I believe that everyone in this room, I know there's all these folks that are either on the council or serve on one of the committees. You wouldn't do it if you didn't love our town. It's a great place to live. At this time, I would like to ask Bishop Will Smith, Jr. from the New Beginnings Christian Church if he would come and pronounce our invocation.
Good evening. That walk was almost as long as the one I took in boot camp over 27 years ago. That was a long walk. Before I do the invocation, I would like to say thank you to each one of you that's in the room, from the mayor to the city council members. And the reason why that's important, I think about, we got here over 16 years ago. And in this community, we raised our son. He went to all of the schools right here, and this has been a blessing for me and my family. They did very well. They got no trouble. On the other hand, I did. That's a joke. Psalms 2:10 and 11 says, "Therefore, you kings, leaders, be wise, be warned. You rulers of the earth, serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling." Let us pray. Father, thank you for the many blessings that our local community has. I pray for those in the office of government in this community and the county, and that they make wise and godly decisions, which are always in the best interest of our community. I pray for them to be blessed and favored. I ask that you watch over them as they carry out their assignments. Bless the men and women in our city government, the mayor's office, the council, and the elected officials, and certainly those who always look out for our community, the law enforcement, firefighters, EMS workers. I'm so thankful that we have a wonderful community to stay in. I thank you that they stay blessed and covered under the blood of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop Smith, and thank you for your service as a member of our Community Engagement Advisory Committee and also our My City Committee. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move to, we want to recognize the members of our advisory committees and their council liaisons and staff this evening, and all the ones that are present. When I call your name or your committee, and as I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until everyone is called in your particular committee? I'm going to start first with the Board of Adjustment, and our council liaison to the Board of Adjustment is Councilmember Jerry Bittner. The members of the Board of Adjustment are Marty Goldman, Chairman, Gary Herbold, Vice Chairman. I haven't seen Gary tonight. Albert Burgess from the ETJ. I haven't seen Albert tonight. Gilbert Stewart. David Dillingham. Our staff liaison is with us tonight, Gary Willett. Will be for a short time, right? Okay. And the support staff, Debbie Jefferson. Thank you very much for the work you do. Next, I'd like to recognize the members of the Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee. Our council liaison to the Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee is Councilwoman Dr. Angela Washington. We have Ed Lazard, who's the chairman. Oh, I saw him. Okay. Eugenia Webb, vice chairman. Louise Williams. Grace Auerbridge. Ossie Keys, I know you're here. Yeah, I see. Willie Saunders. Betty Schiffelbein, I know Betty's here. Linda Smith Henderson. Matt Ray. Our staff liaison to the committee is Glenn Hargett. And our support staff is Yolanda Henley. And I'm sure the ones that weren't able to make it tonight are out making Jacksonville a more beautiful place. Thank you. The next board we'll recognize tonight is the Planning Advisory Board. Our council liaison board to planning is Councilman Bob Warden. The next is Homer Spring, who's the chairman. Doug Lasan, I didn't see Doug, but he is the vice chairman. Stephen Forney. Alfred Keys. Thomasine Moore, haven't seen Thomasine tonight. Teresa Vanderveer, she's here tonight. Aubrey Mullen Jr. He's the ETJ member. Our staff liaison is Ryan King. And our support staff is Pam Ramsey. Let's give them a hand for the work they do. Next, we have our Community Engagement Advisory Committee. Our council liaison to the Community Engagement Advisory Committee is Councilmember Brian Jackson, I don't think he's here tonight, wasn't able to be here. But I do have the chairman here today, Mr. Frank Claiborne. Vice Chairman Will Smith. Gloria Whitney. Yes, you. Paula Jones. Betty Dawson. Steve Forney. Gordon Marshall. Marcia Wright. Richard Sheets. Michael Onifer. Michael is our leadership development member who's working with community engagement. Donald Carter. He's also in the leadership development. Our staff liaison is Lily Gray. and support staff is Tracy Jackson. Let's give them a hand. Next is the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee. Our council liaison is also Brian Jackson, Councilmember Brian Jackson. I'll start with the chairman, Mr. Jim Wheeler. Vice Chairman, Joseph Speranza. Lori Reddy Giovanni. Steve Hinkle. Bernard Lane. William Ross III. Homer Spring. Our staff liaison is Susan Baptiste. Our other staff liaison is Michael LaCory. And our support staff is Amanda Nordstrom. Thank you very much. Let's give them a hand. The next and last committee will be the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee. Our council liaison to the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee is Councilmember Randy Thomas. Our chairman, Diana Rashish. If I butchered that, I apologize. Tom Nickel, vice chairman. Jill Ayuso. John Bryant. James Dorn. David Terry. Our staff liaison is Wally Hanson. And our support staff is Derek Hart. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all you folks that are on these committees. You know, as an elected official of the city and as our staffers, we know that we could not run this city and run it effectively and efficiently without the help and advice that you provide to us to make decisions for this city. And again, I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for the service that you bring to this city. Just a few months ago, all of us together experienced Hurricane Florence. This caring community responded very quickly and decisively. The response was amazing. It was community. It was city staff. It was many volunteers and nonprofit organizations, as well as state and federal agency. It was you. A lot of the people sitting in this room here. We all came together during this time of crisis because a caring community is not just there with 3 words on a logo. It is who we are. It is Jacksonville. At this time, I'll have Wally Hanson. You have a presentation you can make.
Good evening and welcome. Dr. Woodruff apologizes for not being here. He is on vacation with family in California and sent us some pictures, lovely pictures today. I think maybe to rub it in a little bit, I'm not sure. But good evening and welcome. This event is being held at this time during this week because, as the mayor mentioned, it is Volunteer Appreciation Week. We as a city want to thank you for your service. This type of appreciation and recognition for board members for the city has been held for many years. Consider this picture. This is April 19th, 2005 in City Council chambers. It was before the City Hall renovation. It is notable that this is the former City Trails and Greenways Committee. Note Sergeant Major Nick Irera on the far right. Many will remember him for his dedication to the trail and greenways. He personally ran many of them. We are saddened to learn of his passing. He passed on the day the Run for the Warriors was being held this year. The organization has fond memories of his dedication to the troops and the support he showed to this group. So much respect was held for him that when he would run the Marine Corps half marathon, they would not close down the route until he crossed the finish line, even if it meant holding it open long after other runners had finished. Many times, a special contingent of volunteers would run the last few miles with him, and Marines lined the finish line in tribute to this Marine's Marine. We cherish his service as we do cherish your service also. Here's another shot from the following year. Note Jim Dorn on the left. It's Jim's turn to be recognized this year for his exemplary public service. As a note, this observance was held in the Public Services Building because City Hall was under renovation at the time. Last year, we recognized the Mayor's Faith Committee, which brought us our One City campaign. The campaign has been an effort to promote civility and caring. It is an extension of our given designation as a caring community. While many of you might know the reason we were given that designation, I'd like to share it for those of you that may not know. During the first Gulf War in 1990, there was great fear that this would be an extensive war with many people deployed over a long time. This is a shot taken from a helicopter of some 20,000 troops on the field at Camp Lejeune preparing to leave. It is an impressive display of manpower, and it deepened the fears within the community. On a hot Friday in July, a group of military spouses visited with the Mayor, George Jones. They indicated their concern that so many military spouses believed the war was to be so long that they were moving from the area after their loved one deployed. The spouses who met with Mayor indicated that they were fearful that those who left would be without good communication about their loved ones. It was obvious that the people were canceling their leases and making arrangements to move. Those who were leaving thought they would be alone. They wanted to be with their families back home. They wanted them to help take care of them. They needed a support network. The spouses asked the mayor for help. The following Monday morning, a group crowded into a room at City Hall. They vowed to spread the message that this community would help take care of them. The Caring Committee was immediately formed. They created a network with significant help from the chamber and assistance from everyone they would ask. The network would help spouses with flat tires get to appointments and provide assistance. The community provided babysitters and medical transportation and people ready to listen if they wanted to talk. They found spouses who had been through this before and connected them with those who had never been through something like this. As we know, the war turned out to be mercifully short. Still, the deployments were long, and when troops returned, they learned how this community cared about them. It was the Marine leadership that urged the designation of this as a caring community. The words are right here on the city seal, immediately under our proud listing of our military bases. And the yellow ribbon, well, it got added to the city seal when our community was recognized for how we welcomed our troops back home. Both the ribbon and our motto are enduring symbols of this city. This evening, we share how a caring community has responded to the legacy of that caring and the One City campaign. It was suggested that we would share One City moments during public meetings. Let's take a trip back in time with some of these.
Recently, Mayor Sammy Phillips hosted a youth summit. It gave youth the opportunity to be inspired about their life and their future. It also clearly sent the message that this community cares about them. On a Saturday morning, youth gathered to gain networking skills, to learn how to get along with others and how to be motivated. And they talked about their goals, and they had fun working together. In May, we saw a Jacksonville, Florida to a Jacksonville, North Carolina connection to honor X.Y. Brown. He recently had done an interview with a Raleigh-based television station. It was shared widely, and his designation as the oldest still-serving officer drew much attention. A delegation of officers from Jacksonville, Florida, drove to our Jacksonville to meet X.Y. Brown. They said they were inspired by the tenure, experiences, and dedication of XY and wanted to meet him in person. Some had "I'm XY Brown" t-shirts on. The Florida officers had time to talk with the shy XY. They enjoyed a tour of the Memorial Gardens as well. They wanted to listen and be with XY Brown. And some learned that they had a connection here. One of the officers' fathers had been a Montford Pointer, and he had never seen the area where his father served. Another was a Vietnam veteran. He was moved by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the story behind how it came to be. Now retired, his son was with him on this trip, also as a Florida officer. Another had served on active duty here in the early 90s. He was impressed with the things he saw and that had changed for the better. For the Chamber Holiday Parade, the One City theme was again on full display. Many city employees participated. The parade carried forth the theme of One City. The Reverend James Brown is a member of the Mayor's Faith Committee, which leads the One City effort. When he asked for a summit with his congregation, the mayor assembled a team to present on issues that were important to the group. Law enforcement was a large part of the discussion, but community was the theme. Many of the members wanted to know what they could do to improve their community. They were appreciative being able to talk to officers and city staff with the mayor. Martin Luther King Jr. urged public service as a noble gift to our communities. Each year on the third Monday in January, the MLK National Day of Service is observed as a day on, not a day off. The Jacksonville Youth Council took on this challenge recently and continued that tradition with service to the Onslow Community Outreach Soup Kitchen. Students served others, cleaned up, and washed dishes. The Youth Council then went to Premier Nursing, where they helped to run the bingo game for the seniors that live there. They were well received at both locations. Many of the Youth Council members commented on the service and the nobility of serving others. A rare March snow event has helped to see our city and our one team in a different way. About 2 inches was reported in parts of Jacksonville by the National Weather Service. It came quickly and quickly left. City work continued, and all city functions were up and running. It left some beautiful scenes in our city. It also reminded us of our shared experiences during Hurricane Florence and afterwards. Let's examine that a bit closer. After a weekend, fearing and hoping that Florence would turn the other way, September 10 found Jacksonville within the potential pathway. That evening, it was upgraded to a Category 4 storm, and Jacksonville was clearly in the path. The next day was September 11. Nothing would stop our community from holding the annual 9/11 observance. It was moved indoors, and it had the same somber remembrance of the victims. It had music and prayer. It was part of our duty to remember. The crowd was a bit smaller than some other years. However, they were diligent in remembering those who had died on 9/11 and who had perished in the war on terror. About the time of the observance, it became evident that Jacksonville was in danger from this massive storm. The county issued a mandatory evacuation. All forecasts had Jacksonville dead center for impact. At 3 p.m., Jacksonville Mayor Sammy Phillips, along with several members of the City Council, issued a voluntary evacuation plea for city residents. The mayor urged residents to be prepared and to evacuate from low-lying and unsafe areas. The mayor also issued a notice of curfew from Thursday, September 14th at 7 p.m. until Sunday, September 17 at 7 a.m. By the next morning, it was obvious that many people had heeded the advice. Many buildings were boarded up. Streets were clear. The normally packed Western Boulevard was strangely quiet. They were menacing clouds over our city. On Wednesday, September 12th, the city's Emergency Operations Center was activated at a low level. That evening, the storm was reduced to a Category 2 with 110-mile-an-hour winds. It was still troubling to the community. Winds were steady at that time at about 25 miles per hour. The rains started. The Emergency Operations Center was fully staffed. Areas to the north of us were feeling the effects greatly. On Thursday, the previously announced curfew started. City services continued. Fire and emergency services responded to a fire call that morning. That evening, College Street was partially blocked by trees that were blown down. The rain increased. A shelter at Church's Chicken at Country Club and Belfork Roads blew down. The mayor and others continued to address our community through G10 TV and Facebook Live. By Friday morning, Florence was pounding our community. The New River was 1.5 feet above normal. There were 81-mile-an-hour wind gusts at the New River Air Station. Then the calls came in that the roof on one building at the Triangle Motor Inn had come off. City forces rescued many from the compromised structure. With no place to stay and no shelters in the county, those rescued were brought to the Center for Public Safety. It was a long, windy, rainy night. At 7:15 a.m., Florence makes landfall at Wrightsville Beach. A Category 1 storm. It sustained winds of 90 miles per hour. The National Weather Service warned of major flooding and life-threatening storm surge. In the light of day, we saw the damage to the Triangle Motor Inn. We were able to find a more suitable shelter for those who had been rescued there. Using city transit buses, they were moved out of the sparse quarters at the Center for Public Safety. We also became the subject of national attention by the media. One crew even captured deer swimming across Court Street. There was damage everywhere. Reports were made throughout the area. Trees were everywhere. The Streets Division and others helped to clear major areas to allow rescue operations, but the winds were still high. On Saturday, significant flooding came, and also the water rescues. The New River was at 5 feet above normal now. The Coast Guard helped with some, landing victims at Onslow Memorial Hospital. Our fire and emergency services did many rescues. The Riverwalk Marina was under water. Even some of the Arts Council windows were blown out by the wind. People were hungry, and those restaurants of food trucks that could open did a lot of business. For city crews, the food was served at the Center for Public Safety. The mayor and others had been at the Emergency Operations Center, and they watched the forecasts for the New River. Our elected officials and staff kept the public informed with many broadcasts, news releases, and social media posts. More than 1 million people were reached by our social media posts. During the storm, 128 storm-related videos were produced. 17 live G10 TV feeds and Facebook Live events were done. There were more than 60,000 video views on Facebook, and more than 625,000 views were recorded for our live events. Your city wanted to keep you informed. For Sunday, September 16, a new record was set. The rain abated, but the river continued to rise. A new gauge had been installed on the Popkin Bridge only a year before. It set that new record, 7.27 feet. That's 7.27 feet above normal. Places that normally flooded exceeded any previous high marks. Places that did not regularly flood did. There was debris and damage everywhere. The county drone flew over parts of Jacksonville. Let's view some of these shots. This shows how high the water was. This is a home in Northwoods. This is Windsor Place Apartments. City staff also had to help evacuate Wellington Grove Apartments later because the damage was so bad. These are more shots around Jacksonville. This is the damage documented in the downtown area. In all, more than $96 million of damage was estimated by our assessment. Our community had taken 33 inches of rain. Our river was above flood stage for 96 hours, and we had come through a hurricane. By Monday, the Emergency Operations Center had been deactivated, but the Citizen Phone Bank stayed operating. Hundreds of calls were handled by the team. During the storm, they were sometimes a voice to talk to. After the storm, it increased with questions about where to get food, when is my trash going to be picked up, and how do I get help? Our team kept information on our website, for the phone bank, and in news releases and in posts to our social media.
Your city is proud of our debris management. Working with a FEMA-approved set of contractors, more than 260,000 cubic yards of debris was hauled to the Onslow Inn site. Then it was reduced to 65,000 cubic yards and then hauled to an approved landfill. Our community responded as we expected it would. At Onslow Memorial Hospital, there were extra shifts worked by crews to take care of people in need. Businesses such as Planet Fitness offered free showers to those who did not have access to clean water. City staff helped those in need when we could, and many in the community helped their neighbor. Social media is full of stories of appreciation from those who needed help and got it from their neighbor. Then there were organizations such as Samaritan's Purse and the Billy Graham Response Team. They were here for months helping our residents with their needs. Onslow Community Outreach and many groups helped to provide food for those who were hungry. Volunteers stood ready to help. Churches stepped up to help. Abundant Life Church held a special outreach effort, and the one city spirit was evident everywhere. But even with all we went through, our community did not forget to honor those who had given the ultimate sacrifice. On October 23, 2018, the 35th anniversary of the Beirut bombing was observed. With tree damage still evident, the observance drew several thousand, and this community renewed the pledge to never forget. Whether it is in crisis mode or normal day, it is volunteers who make this community a great place to be. We thank you for your service and the time that you give to our community to make it better. Thank you to each of you for volunteering.
So we've now connected our past with our future. We have shared experiences that will make us a better community. And we've seen how our community cares, how we came to have the motto, and how, as a one city, we're inspired to continue to help and care about our neighbors. Again, I can't thank you enough, and from my heart to yours, thank you so much for what you do for this city as volunteers. I would like to take this opportunity now to recognize one of our members here. Tonight, we are honored to recognize a man who has volunteered his time and expertise in our community for more than 22 years, Mr. James Dorn, Jr. Now, Jimmy, we're friends. You can sit while I talk. That's fine. Before I get too much into what he has done as far as a volunteer and board member here, one of the things I want to say about Jimmy is, of course, he's a native of Rome, New York, and he came here with his parents when his dad was stationed in the Marine Corps. He's also an Air Force veteran, correct? And after leaving the Air Force, he joined the Jacksonville Police Department. So he's a brother. He's one of my brothers in blue. Actually, Jimmy was leaving out the back door as I was coming in the front door back then. And Jimmy left and went to work with the alcohol as an alcohol beverage control officer, and then later to the alcohol law enforcement division of the state. And he worked there. He returned back to Jacksonville in 1980. And within a few years, he started Jacksonville Fuel and Oil Company, which he owned and operated for nearly 30 years until he retired. Now, Jimmy has served continuously as a member of our Water and Sewer Advisory Committee for the past 22 years. That's great. That's a long time. That's a long time. And he continues his service today. He served as the vice chairman of the committee continuously from 2005 to 2014, and he chaired the committee from 2014 to 2016. In addition, he has served as the city's liaison to the Onslow Water and Sewer Authority Advisory Committee from 2004 till the present, and he served on our Planning Advisory Board from 2012 to 2018. I'm very proud myself to be able to call Jimmy Dorn a friend, and he's a friend of this city. And thank you so much, Jimmy, for what you do. And I got a few other people that want to say a few things. But anyway, I applaud you. Well, we're not done with you yet. I would like to ask Dr. Diana Rashash, I saw you. There you are. If you would come forward and say, she wants to say a few words about you.
Uh-oh. Might not be good.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Oh, I'm going to get a demerit for kicking that.
If it's bad, don't say it.
I don't know. Sitting next to you at the advisory committee meetings, do not take the cookies, okay? But he wants the cookies.
I don't need them either.
But you do like them. Okay. I would like to say that Jim has dedicated many years towards serving the residents of Jacksonville. You can imagine with 22 years in service. And not only just on one advisory board, but also as serving as a liaison on other advisory boards. With this, he has managed to keep the fellow advisory committee members aware of what's going on with these other committees and board meetings, as well as being concerned about the impacts of committee recommendations on city residents. So he does have the benefits or the impacts of these decisions on his mind when we are making these decisions or the recommendations to the City Council. So thank you very much for all of your years of service.
Thank you, appreciate it.
One thing I'd further mention too, that Jimmy's son Ronnie just got promoted to deputy police chief. That's exactly what I was when I left there, and
Yeah.
I think that Ronnie's going to do a lot to contribute to the leadership
Hoping he'd
of
come
that.
tonight, but he was tied up on something else.
Yeah, well, hey, he's got a busy job now. I'm sure he'd be here if he could. Next, I'd like to ask fellow committee member Jill Ayuso to come up and make a couple of comments.
Trouble.
You're in trouble now. You're in trouble now.
If it's not good, don't speak it.
We're not going to discuss the cookies.
You got it.
I've been fortunate to serve many years with Jim Dorn on the Jacksonville Water and Sewer Advisory Committee. I've often admired Jim's ability to keep sight of both the long and short-term interests of the utility system when the committee is considering various matters. He has been a strong advocate of providing the best water and sewer service possible. Sorry, guys, allergies. Through his support of intelligent investment in modern technology, improvements in infrastructure for the system. He has also been vocal in the need to balance reasonable utility rates for the citizens while maintaining a system that is healthy and financially sustainable. And Jim Dorn is a wonderful asset to the city of Jacksonville.
Thank you, Jill. Next, I'd like to have Wally Hanson, again, the Public Services Director and liaison to the Water and Sewer Advisory Board. You have a few things you would like to say. He's been watching you.
Mr. Dorn has been a member of this committee longer than I have been with the city. He has been a valuable member of this community. He's demonstrated outstanding dedication during that time, and he is not afraid to tackle tough issues. Sometimes even to get the board to have a discussion on things. He is one to stand behind staff when we need and challenge us when we need to be challenged. I greatly appreciate everything that you've done, all of the many hours that you've dedicated to the service of the citizens of Jacksonville, and thank you for everything that you've given to me. So, Mr. Dorn, thank you. I appreciate it.
Go and sit down.
No, not yet. We're not ready for you to sit down yet. Next, I have Mr. David Moore, who's a PE Engineering Director and liaison to the Onamwaska Water and Sewer Advisory Committee, say a few things. Didn't make it, did he? Okay. So we'll go on.
They had a meeting tonight.
Yeah. Hey, again, if he would have been here, he would have said, Jimmy Dorn does a great job on the Water and Sewer Advisory Board. Also want to point out that Jim's daughter is here with us tonight, Gina Allen. I guess you're here to keep him under control. Okay. All right. You're fine. Jimmy, though, represents what's good about Jacksonville. He's a tireless cheerleader who is unafraid to ask questions, and he isn't. He'll pull up to the end of my driveway and ask me questions. You've done that several times, haven't you, Jim? But I don't mind. It's like I told him, you ask me any question you want, and if I can't answer it, I'll get somebody to answer it, and I usually do, don't I? Okay. So he connects the city to interests and operations that make us a better place. And again, like I said, I treasure being able to call Jimmy my friend. But Jimmy is a volunteer worth recognizing and appreciating. And we have an award.
It's underneath.
Oh, my goodness. Oh. I was looking all around for it. Oh, man, it's nice.
Do I need to stand up?
No, you stay right where you're at. This is in grateful appreciation to Jimmy C. Dorn, Jr. for his dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Jacksonville, for his passion to help make this a better place to live, work, and play, and a more caring community. Thank you, Jimmy. So thank you. Did you want to say something, Jimmy?
Sir?
Would you like to say a few syllables? I'm gonna hand you this microphone.
Okay.
Stay right here though, because if you don't, you'll be like a zoo concert. We'll have all the feedback coming in from the amplifiers.
Hello. I'd like to thank the mayor, council members, and the staff for awarding me this. I did not expect it, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the couple people that got up and said something about me. I'm sure there's a lot more here that can feel like they maybe deserve something too, but we'll hopefully get that in another few years when they get up some more time. I went on to, as liaison from Jacksonville to the Onwassa board, but when I went down there, it was the Onslow County Water Board. They didn't have the sewage, and it was a year later when they started on Wausau. And I know we had a big argument going about them getting a little bit ill because the city didn't turn over all their assets. And I was a big one for fighting against that because I felt like the citizens here had already paid on a monthly amount towards reducing the cost of the land application that we were building to begin with. And I think we did the right thing. And I know Mr. Bittner was down there at the time. That was in 97, beginning of 97. So I think we did real good on that for the citizens. And I hope we can continue to do things like that. Here you go, sir.
Okay, you got a whole lot more time ahead of you here. Got more work to do.
I got at least 3 more.
Exactly. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you, everybody. I forgot to mention his son Trey here tonight also. Sorry about that. You're fine.
Oh, I see what you're going to do. Ray, you should have gotten that.
So as we come to the end of our evening together, I want to say on behalf of myself and the City Council, thank you all for what you do. Thank you for the time that you give to the groups you serve with. Thank you for the knowledge you share with your group and with us. Thank you for your effort to make Jacksonville the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you. 2 simple words filled with great appreciation, as I said, from my heart to yours. Thank you.